Shiva Hare Bum Bum.
Bum bum Shiva Hare bum bum.
Bum Bum.
Bum bum.
Welcome, everyone. My pleasure to be the host today. I'm Reverend Deborah Gay, and Gina Salah is in the house. You probably already know this, but you'll see that she continue to weave a web of connection between all of us each time she comes up. And we have a wonderful guest speaker today. Reverend Karyl Huntley is here. Welcome, welcome. Our dear Reverend Kathy Ann is off for the month of July, so this is our second guest speaker in our series. So we're getting all kinds of richness in what's happening on Sundays in July. So I'll tell you more about Reverend Karyl in a little bit when I do her introduction. But I first want to welcome anyone who's new here. So know that you are very welcome. We're so glad you're here. And if you want to find out more about us, just pick up one of these blue bags in the lobby. It will tell you a lot about who we are. And if you find you want to connect with us deeper, know inside of it there's this card. It's called a connection card. Particularly if you give us your email address, we will send an email out during the week with a spiritual practice that we all do together as community. So it's a way for us to be in virtual community even when we're not physically here. And another tool we use in these wonderful array of technology that's coming our way are smartphones. So anytime during the service, if you want to take a picture of Gina Salah or take a picture of Reverend Karyl or anything that's happening and share it with your friends. There is so much good happening here, so much connection and community and love here. And so it is just a way to share that, to let your friends know something is good is happening. And something very good happened yesterday. We were the sponsor of the regional practitioner licensing panels for 6 to 8 churches. It was a beautiful day. There were 30 people, 30 candidates who went through their panels, 11 from, 6 from Tacoma, 5 from Amazing Grace, which is in Ballard. And at CSLseattle, we now have 19 new practitioners. I know many of them are in the house, and I ask you to rise if you're a new practitioner, and let's share our heart. These people have powerful practitioner ministries to move out into the world, so we're going to see more and more of what is created through them. Such joy. And as you know, we honor every single person at least once in a year. And so if you had a birthday last week or this week, would you stand? Because we want to give you a gift. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yay. And Reverend Karyl's having a birthday. And Reverend Karyl is sharing her birthday with us today, so that's pretty fun too. So as you know, we begin our service in prayer, and we use music to open those doors up. Sometimes that can be blocked by the mental chatter that's in our mind. So using music, we can deepen in to that center within us, that divinity within us, and know yet again as a community how life is connected, and we are each such an important part of that life. And so together we renew our knowing of that, we renew that experience, and we share it in community. And so our musicians are coming up to begin our meditation, and then Reverend Harold Costa will lead us in prayer.
And let us allow that Om, that primordial sound that has always existed, to come within our own conscious mind right now. To recognize that there is an infinite amount of names for the divine from many cultures, but yet they are all the same. There is one life, one love, one Shiva, one Christ consciousness, one Allah. No matter how we call that, one infinite divine. That divine lives, breathes, and has its being through each and every one of us. So I take this time to recognize it right here and now, to recognize it within my very life, to recognize it and see it within each and every person here. We are divine in form. We are divine eternally. And that life lives through everything. It is omnipresent. And so I take this time to recognize it right within our own music department, right within every song and chant that Gina Salah sings, within every note that is played. I recognize it within the very wisdom of Reverend Karyl Huntley. For truly, we are one with that co-creative force. And from that source, we have the right and ability and know-how to actually create our own lives in the way we choose. One master said it best, "It is not I that does the work, it is the divine within me." So I know that each and every one of us has that opportunity. Each and every one of us can create from that place and that source, and who we are created from. So I recognize the Om within the very breath we breathe. I recognize the divine within all things. And I call this service so very good. Why? Because Spirit is here and now. And so it is. Amen.
Isn't it such a great weekend? We have so many things to celebrate. Our new members, our new practitioners. And now we get to enjoy Reverend Karyl. So let me tell you a few things about her for those of you who may not have met her yet. She has been a religious science minister since 1989, and she's the senior minister and the community spiritual leader of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. So this is another center for spiritual living in California. She has, prior to being a minister, she was a teacher and worked in college publishing. So she's written many books, and one is Real Life Rituals. So it's a book about sacred ceremonies that we can do in just our everyday and in those special days. And that tells you a little bit about Karyl. She creates rituals, both in sacred settings, but also in schools and our community and families, to bring attention to, commemorate, and celebrate these moments, just like we had with our new members. One way she is described is as a earth-based spiritual teacher. So she's a guide to the inner realms, those realms that open our heart up, as well as a guide to sacred sites in various places around the globe. And she takes people to those sacred sites. She has written a newest book, which is called Oneness and Mastery. And this is available in the lobby. She's going to read from it today. I want to just point out she's going to be stationed right outside our double doors in this new space we're calling the Conversation Corner. So an opportunity for you after the service to go and talk more with Karyl and know that she's doing a workshop as well this afternoon. So lots of ways to connect with this earth-based spirituality that Reverend Karyl brings to us. So I ask you to open your heart wide and welcome Reverend Karyl to the platform this morning.
Good morning, beloveds. I am so happy to be here. Dear Kathy Ann, who says that we are exactly the same but could not be more different. She invites me to speak usually once a year, and so to see all of you that I love and know, and then realize there's a lot more of you than I can get to know and love. So thank you for having me. And as you probably know, the theme that Reverend Kathy Ann has chosen for your guest speakers in July is create with an exclamation point. So I love this topic because creation is what we do. We can't not create. We create our life experience. That's the basic teaching in metaphysics, is that your life is not by accident. Your life is not by luck. Your life is created actually by you, and there are things that we can do to make it better, but you're actually the author of your life. So that's the basic idea of metaphysics, but it's also a pretty advanced lesson because it takes a bit to get it right? I mean, if there's something in our life that we don't particularly like and we realize that it's our responsibility to change it if we want to, then that realization means that we usually have more to learn, or we would be on our way, right? You know that we come from the spirit realm and we get to move through lessons in this earthly realm where there's gravity and time and age and stuff and each other, and that's what we chose to do. And then we go back home to the spirit realm, but while we're here, we learn how to manipulate, create with form. So what I'm going to do today is, there are people who are new or newish, and by the way, congratulations to the new members. So I'm going to do a beginning lesson about creation. And if you think you know it all, listen anyway, because think about how many times I've talked about it. And I'm still learning. So we have a beginning lesson about creation. Then we have a follow-up lesson about creation. And then I'm going to give an advanced lesson of creation. So something for everybody. So just hang in here with me, and hopefully you'll hear something new. So the beginning lesson of creation is that we create our own experience. That is the way it is. And the way we do that is that there is this thing that Ernest Holmes, our founder, called the creative law. The creative law is the make-it machine of the universe, the can-do machine of the universe. We put stuff into the creative law, we can't not do it, and then the creative law makes it for us. And so we do this by sort of the atmosphere in which we live. That atmosphere, sometimes it's easier to see it in somebody else, but we all have this atmosphere that's mostly happy, or it's mostly troubled. Sometimes it's mostly angry. Sometimes it's mostly sad. Sometimes it's looking for problems. My stepdad used to go out of the door every morning and say, well, I wonder what calamity will happen today. And the creative law gave him an infinite variety of things to deal with. So that was his atmosphere that he put into the creative law. So it comes down to us in every single wisdom tradition. Everything that teaches us anything teaches us that the creative law exists, and it always says yes to us. So in the New Testament, when Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe," you've heard that before. We say that a lot. It's absolutely true. In the Old Testament, in the book of Job, it puts it like this: "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it will be established unto thee, and light shall shine upon thy ways." Wayne Dyer wrote a book called "Believe It, and Then You'll See It." So that says the same thing. And then Shakespeare wrote a play and said it this way: "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." And then that reminded me of Jean-Luc Picard, who just said, "Make it so." So it all says the same thing. So what happens is that the creative law takes our beliefs, our attitudes, our assumptions, our daydreams, our choices, the way we think that something is probably going to happen, that's probably going to come down this way, our conscious thought, our subconscious beliefs, and it makes it into the stuff of our lives. Now, this is absolutely 100% true with your experience of life. And it's actually mostly true with the actual circumstances. So I want to differentiate between your experience of life and the circumstances. And I can give you a supposed example of you and your siblings or your family remember Thanksgiving from 1997. And they say, "Oh my God, wasn't that the greatest dinner? That was the greatest time. That was my favorite Thanksgiving." And you remember it not that way. It was not the best day in your life whatsoever. And so you can see that it's the same event, it's the same circumstance, and we all have a different experience of it because of the consciousness that we bring to the situation. So everything that happens to us, our experience of it is our own creation. So when I say that, even me sometimes, but certainly a lot of people that I say that to have the "yes, but." Well, yes, but what about? And then there's some dire circumstance from their life or from history that they shoot out there. This can't be the way it is because this happened. And I certainly didn't choose that. I would never choose that. Nobody would ever choose that. And so I want to be very clear that there are things that happen in every single life that feel like disaster. It feels like we never, ever could have chosen that. And it makes us want to not believe the basic lesson of metaphysics that it's done unto us as we believe, because we have this example. Well, there's got to be chance in there somewhere, because I wouldn't have chosen this. No. Things happen out of the ordinary for two basic reasons. One is that we co-create with everybody else. The circumstances of our existence are co-created by every single person. Like this right now, we're co-creating this experience of second service today. And everybody has their own individual experience of it. And in part, our experience is colored by what expectations come here. So it's the co-creation with group consciousness and sort of the evolution of processes that are already set in motion that make some things happen. And then the other example, or the other reason that things seem to happen to us, is that we set ourselves an intention and we don't really know what we're setting in motion, but what comes down doesn't look like what we thought it was going to. Like, for example, when I was still in ministerial school, I did a fervent prayer that my ministry would be expansive and beautiful. I would be well used by God. I was going to just be a supremely wonderful minister for my people. And the next thing that happened was the very next thing that happened was I was fired from the church where I was working. Now, when you think about that, I wasn't thinking that that's the way it would unfold. I didn't think that my prayer would be answered that way. I thought one nice thing would be offered, and then the next nice thing would be offered, and the next thing, just unfolding beautifully like that, one lovely thing after another. No, I was fired. And it was the best thing that could have happened, because it took me out of where I wasn't being a great minister and into my own ministry. That's what happened. And so, I mean, how many of you have things like that have happened to you? You think it's the worst thing? Yeah, look around. And it turns out to be the best thing. So that's one of the ways we bring stuff into our lives that didn't seem like it was going to be great. So I have another story about my daughter. I was telling Ev, asked about my daughter. We went on a trip together with my darling girl, who is now 22. She graduated from the University of Oregon with a degree in history and political science, and she decided to get her wiggles out by moving to New York City and becoming a waitress. So that's what she's doing. She's being a waitress at a nice restaurant in New York City and getting her wiggles out. So she lives in Brooklyn. So just this week, she gets on the train in the Manhattan side, and there's a long time, relatively, between stops as the train goes under the river before the first Brooklyn stop. So she called me and she said, the worst thing happened to me ever in New York City. And what happened was she got on the train, there's a strange guy next to her, and the guy started being aggressive, and she was looking straight ahead and not engaging him. But as he got off on the first stop on the Brooklyn side, he spit on her. And then nobody did anything, you know? Everybody looked straight ahead, and she had this spit on her. And she managed to get off the train at her stop, and then she burst into tears, and then she called me. And so one of those things that you don't think you chose. So I reminded her, however, I mean, she's a metaphysician. I was a minister when she was born, so she knows when she tells me this stuff, we're going to reframe it. So... So I reminded her of a time where she went on a work-study program to South Africa, and her phone was stolen. And she calls me up and she said, Mom, my phone was stolen, and I feel really good about this, because everybody gets stolen from in South Africa, and they only took my phone. So I'm done with that. And I thought she did that all by herself, so I reminded her of the time in South Africa. I said, this is your assault in New York City. It could have been a lot worse. Now that's all over with. You're done with that, and you can move on. And she said, yes. And so she's got some new strategies. She's not afraid. She's going to take the same train, and she's empowered by this. So good on her, and that's what we do. Something comes into our life, and we look for the blessing in it. So I actually think that this is one of the main reasons that we come into this earthly plane is to manage experience. So up here you have a picture of Stonehenge, one of the great stone circles. There are hundreds of stone circles in Britain, and one of the theories, it's pretty well established that all of the stone circles are observatories of the heavens, because they are oriented to something. They are oriented to the summer solstice, to the winter solstice. They're oriented to the moonrise. Some of them are oriented to Venus, because Venus is the third brightest object in the night sky. And over a period of many, many years, Venus, the tract of Venus, forms a star in the heavens. And so, anyway, one of the theories about some of these stone circles is that they were built to observe the heavens so they could predict comet falls. Because one of the theories of the flood is that a comet broke up, a big comet coming into our atmosphere, and hit in 7 places in the water on our planet, causing tsunami waves throughout the planet, because there is a flood story in every tradition. So they built these so they could find the next one, which came, I don't know, there's a a mini ice age that happened in Britain because of another comet fall that sent ash into the sky, and there was winter for 3 years, and a lot of things died in Britain. And so the theory is that they built these stone circles so they could observe the heavens. So even if they couldn't stop the comet, they could at least predict the comet, because they can see which are the stars and which are the comets. And so through the years, the ages and ages and ages, through the beginnings of science and the beginnings of psychology and all through magic before then, we kind of have evolved that consciousness manages experience, but we've worked on it ever since we've been on the planet. So that's the beginning lesson. That's the beginning lesson of creation. Take a breath. We're moving to the follow-up lesson on creation. The follow-up creation is that if you don't like what you've created, you can change it. Guaranteed, you can change your experience. There is nothing that is keeping you where you are. If you don't like it, you can change it. Now, the changing it is kind of hard work. Kind of hard work. And all of those people who got their practitioner license know that. Because what happens in order to change your experience is that you have to change your beliefs, your feelings, your speech, and your action. And you have to really, really change them. So at my place this month, we're talking about money. And my theme for this month is get happy with your money. So last week I talked about changing those things. So if you don't like your money, you want to get happy about your money, you got to change your beliefs. You got to change your beliefs about wealth, the wealthy, the use of money, the potential life-giving purpose that money can hold in your life, and how it can be uplifting and fulfilling, and how you can send that money to the furtherance of your highest ideals. You can feel good every time you deal with money, and you believe it. And if you were awoken out of a sound sleep and people would say, "What do you believe about money?" you could spout that out, because that's really your belief, instead of "there's not enough." So you can't fool the creative law. You can't say, "Oh, I believe in the goodness of money. I don't have any, and I think it's really hard to get it, but I believe in the goodness of it." No. You have to really create a new foundational belief that is your fallback position, that no matter what happens in the circumstances of your life, your experience is you're taken care of financially because you live in an abundant universe. And so the feelings that go with that have to change too. You have to change fear to faith. You have to change anger to good humor. You have to change resistance to embracing, and overwhelm into order. Same thing, you got to change it for real. And then you have to change the way you talk about money. So you can't say anymore "there's not enough." And you can't put on Facebook how badly you feel about the corporate CEOs that are billionaires, and the little trickle-down thing doesn't exist, because everybody below the billionaires is poor. You can't talk that way anymore, because you believe that there's plenty for everybody in an abundant universe. And then you have to go so far as to change what you do with money. And you do something different when you pay your bills so that you're happy. You do something different when you pay your tithe so that you're so happy that you get to support this beloved community and everyone in it. And when we take the offering later, you look around and you watch people put their envelopes in the basket, and you say, "They're giving that to me, they're giving that to me, they're giving that to me," because that's what it is. You give your money so that everybody can have this experience. And here's a great thing to do. Put a $20 bill in an envelope and address it anonymously to anyone. And then just think about what they do when they open that envelope. And there's this $20 bill, and they're going, "Oh my, what? Where is that? What? How fun is that?" That's the kind of thing you get fun, happy with your money. And that's how you change, okay? Now, the truth is life experience changes because you change your beliefs, your feelings, your speech, and your actions. And if there's an area in your life that's really big and really sad, and you can't imagine how to change, that's what the practitioners are for. That's what classes are for. You apply this philosophy to your life, and only you can do it. This is a do-it-yourself spiritual world. Nobody can do it for you. Okay, that's the follow-up lesson. Now we're moving on to the advanced lesson, okay? Take a breath. Okay. The reason that I chose the title for this book, Oneness and Mastery, because that's what happens in our world. All life is one. God is in and through everything, and mastery is about mastering your consciousness so that your experience shifts. That's all there is that's going on here. So when we look at creation and how God does it, because this is from God. There's one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. And it is done unto me as I believe. And God created by saying, let there be light, and there was light. And it was all just so great when God creates. You know, there's two qualities about it. One is orderliness and one is holiness. So we learn from Thomas Troward that the first order of heaven, the first law of heaven is order. Order is heaven's first law. So when God creates everything so that it harmonizes. You know, the spring follows winter, and that the planets revolve around the sun in a beautiful way, and that the arc of the sun follows a pattern. That's what our ancestors watched, was the arc of the sun and the moon and the stars. All of this is orderly. It can be studied. It's predictable because God made it that way. And then everything is holy. I love this from Hildegard of Bingen. The word is living, being, spirit, all verdant greening, all creativity. This word manifests itself in every creature. It's all sacred and it's all holy. So when we create from that advanced position, we don't say, what do I want? But we say, what wants to happen here? See how expansive that question is? What wants to happen here not only creates good for you, but it creates good for all of God's creatures. And I'm telling you, if we all ask that question, every political party and everybody on Facebook, what wants to happen here, we would have the heaven on earth. We would have heaven on earth. And as we follow God's method of creation, that's what we keep asking. What wants to happen here? And then to create holiness, we ask, what is the highest, most loving vision I can call forth? And so you put the divine qualities into your questioning. So when we do that, then every single job can be a ministry. Every single relationship can be holy. Every health issue can be a path to self-love. And when we focus on bringing more of the sacred into our world, we are that advanced creator. So there's a wonderful, wonderful, it's a charge, you know, in the wedding, the part that the minister says before the vows, it's called the charge. It's like, you two are here in front of me, and I want you to know that this is really, really, really important what we're doing here, and this is what it means. So this is the charge of the goddess that has come down to us from those matriarchal religions, that has been rewritten by people like Starhawk and Doreen Virtue. And it goes like this. It's the culmination of these three lessons of creation. I, who am the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars and the mysteries of the waters, I call upon your soul to arise and come unto me. For I am the soul of nature, that gives life to the universe. From me all things proceed, and unto me they must return. Let my worship be in the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. Let there be beauty and strength, power and compassion, honor and humility, mirth and reverence within you. And you who seek to know me, know that the seeking and yearning will avail you not unless you know the mystery. For if that which you seek you find not within yourself, you will never find it without. For behold, I have been with you from the beginning, and I am that which is attained at the end of desire. So, for those of you that know me, and you'll know this about me when I say the next thing, the pagan worldview and science of mind and Walt Disney are all the same to me. And so, once again, I bring you this little gift from the world of Walt Disney. And these are the 7 dwarves. And they work in a diamond mine. And the hi-ho, it's off to work we go. That's the diamond mine they're going to. And the message is, this is your diamond mine, hun. It's yours. So I want to tell you a little something about the dwarves, because I don't know if Walt Disney or if the Disney artists knew that they were playing so exactly into the pagan worldview with these little guys. Because in earth-based spirituality, there are these little things called elementals. And there's an elemental for earth, air, fire, and water. And they're beings that are only watery and flowy and relating, or they're only fiery and transformative, or they're only airy and they're only earthy. Now, the earth elemental is called a gnome, and you see them in every culture. They're the leprechauns, they're the little people, they're the dwarves in this story, and they're always depicted like this. They're short, they're stubborn, they don't move very fast, and they always have pickaxes and spades because they are always working the earth. So this is the earth elemental working on the earth plane, digging up something, just like us. They are digging up the dross, or they're digging up the gems. And that is our message of creation. We either dig up what is left after the mining, or we dig up the gems of life. So I have a little ritual to close with, but before the little ritual, I want to tell you a little advertisement that yes, I do have my books and products for sale. I'm taking a group to Ireland where we do ritual every single day, and there are a couple of openings starting this August 18th. So if you have your bag ready and your passport and you thought, what am I doing the second half of August? Well, there you go. I can take a couple more on this trip, and then next year I'm taking a group to Scotland and another group to Cornwall. And then I have my ritual this afternoon that I want you to come to, the ritual class this afternoon, and then you can also sign up for my newsletter out there, and I have a website, and you get information about that too. So that's my advertisement. Now we're going to do our little closing ritual. So put your left hand like this up. So the left side is receptive. So we turn our hand up so that we can receive our blessings. And the right side is generative or giving. And so let's put it out like this in blessing. So how many statues have you seen just like this? With the left side receiving and the right side blessing. So let's just do this a little bit. We receive and we bless. We receive and we bless. That's what we do. That's what we do. So then you take both the receiving and the blessing hand, put this skill set into your heart, the receiving and the blessing. So just reminding yourself, and you can do this every prayer you do. This is how you end the prayer. Put it right in. But then we have one more little bit to do, and that is to connect with each other. So put your hands out like this and make a little, entwine your fingers with the people next to you. There you go. Entwine your fingers. And then we're all giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving, and creating the world we live in. Blessed be.
Thank you, Gina Salah. Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you, Reverend Karyl. Wasn't that a lovely service? So know that you can meet both of these powerful spiritual people out in the lobby and talk with them more about their work, ways to connect with them. You can spend your afternoon with Reverend Karyl if you'd like. Just register at the registration desk. So there are always so many wonderful things to do at CSL. I'm going to point out only a few. One is if you are a woman and interested in the Women's Circle or connecting with other women, the Women's Circle meets today, and it's done by Reverend Heather, who's going to stand, so you just see who she is. And they're doing a picnic today. So if you'd like to hang out with some really nice people, get to know them, and have a picnic at Magnuson Park, that's happening today. If you are a young adult and want to connect with other young adults, they have moved their service from Wednesday to Sundays. So at 11 on Sunday, we missed it this week, but if you know someone who is seeking to connect with other spiritual young adults, 11 o'clock on Sundays in the sanctuary. And upcoming next weekend on Sunday is the Wealth Now weekend. So Sunday morning breakfast, and it's with May McCarthy and Reverend Sharon. So that's a powerful duo. The topic is intuition. May has written a book that's doing very well on the New York Times list, The Path to Wealth. And those of you that know the inside scoop, Reverend Sharon and May are sisters. So that's a powerful team coming to you on Sunday morning, and then there's an afternoon workshop with them. And on the national tour, we have Mark Nepo coming here. Now, Mark Nepo is one of Oprah's favorites, so that's interesting. He's got also a best-selling book, The Book of Awakening. Mark is going to do a longer-term, in-depth experience for you Friday night, Saturday, Sunday afternoon. You take all of it or the parts of it that appeal to you, and you'll get more information on the exit, this flyer, and there's on the table in the lobby, there are many copies of his different kinds of books. So you can get a feeling that's going to be a meditative and deepening weekend. So, as always, many paths are honored at the Center for Spiritual Living. So I invite our ushers to come forward and join me this morning. And while they're doing that, I want to get a shout out to everyone who is watching us online on the live stream, and later it is archived on YouTube. So you can always find us. If you find those moments where you want to connect in with us again in community, we are always available. So I ask you to bring your love offering to the center and put it in your hand. And just as we were taught by Reverend Karyl, put your hand to your heart. For me, that's a metaphor that's reminding me to touch inside, to remember yet again the divinity that is within me always. I simply need to turn my attention to it and bring that connection forward for me, for each one of us. That we remind ourselves again that we are a part of something greater than our individual life. We are part of this matrix that is life itself, And yet we are beautiful and unique as our individual life. A life that is moving through us to gift out into the world exactly that perfect aspect of you that would not exist without you saying yes to your own life and to your own choices, to your own growth and evolution. And so we come together in spiritual community, that we see that in each other, that we remind each other of our magnificence. We remind each other why we came into this life, to bring the life and the love and the goodness and the perfection and the joy through us to each aspect of our life and each person that enters into our life. And so there's so much good in this. And we renew our knowing of this right now in this moment and connect in this community. And so I simply ask you to renew your commitment to the yes of your own life by saying with me together, and so it is.